Hi, my name is Leisha, and today I'm going to present about the cardiovascular system and the urinary system. So, heart structure. So, the heart is located in the mediastinum, the area between the sternum and the vertebral column, from the first rib to the diaphragm and between the lungs. The apex of the heart rests on the diaphragm, and the base is on the opposite of the apex. So, the pericardium is the outer layer to protect the heart, and it consists of two layers, the outer fibrous layer and an inner serous pericardium. And between the layers, there's a pericardial cavity that contains a lubricating pericardial fluid to reduce friction between the two layers. The wall of the heart is made up of three layers, the epicardium, myocardium, and the endocardium. The epicardium is made up of mesothelium and connective tissue, the myocardium is made up of cardiac muscle tissue, and the endocardium is made up of endothelium and connective tissue. So the heart's function is to pump blood to the organs and to the lungs. So it's made up of four chambers: the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. The right side of the heart pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs. That's called the pulmonary circulation. And the left side pumps oxygenated blood from the lungs to the whole body, and that's called the systemic circulation. So the structure of a blood vessel, they're actually located throughout the entire body, and they are arteries, arterioles, capillaries, veins, and venules. They have three layers. From innermost to outermost, we have the tunica interna. It is an epithelial inner lining for a smooth pathway for blood to flow. And then we have the tunica media. It's a smooth muscle and elastic connective tissue to regulate the diameter of the blood vessel. And then the tunica externa, which is a connective tissue that provides structure and shape for the blood vessel. So the arteries carry blood and nutrients to organs. They're always under high pressure, which is why the walls have more elastic tissue than smooth muscle. They'll branch out into medium-sized muscular arteries, and then to smaller arteries, and then to arterioles. So arterioles enter a tissue, and then they branch out into capillaries. The capillaries have thin walls that allow exchange of nutrients, gases, and wastes via diffusion. So groups of capillaries form small veins, or venules, and then these venules form bigger blood vessels called veins. And then the veins carry blood to the heart, and they also have valves to prevent backflow of the blood. So the blood is also located throughout the entire body and in the blood vessels. So the blood structure, blood is actually a liquid connective tissue, and it's made up of 55% blood plasma. Blood plasma is a liquid extracellular matrix that contains dissolved substances, and it's also made up of 45% of formed elements. These formed elements contain cells and cell fragments. The formed elements are 99% red blood cells, and less than 1% of them are white blood cells. So the blood has three main functions. The first one is transportation. They transport oxygen from the lungs to the cells of the body and transport carbon dioxide from the body cells into the lungs. They also carry nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract to the body and hormones from the endocrine glands to the body cells. They also remove heat and waste products by transporting them to various organs to be eliminated by the body. They also help regulate pH of all bodily fluids and help adjust the body temperature in blood plasma and in the skin. Protection. So after an injury, the blood can clot so that the body doesn't lose even more blood. And also the white blood cells carry phagocytes, which protect the body from diseases. So we can see that there are four tissue types in the cardiovascular system. First one is the cardiac tissue, which can be found in the heart walls or in the myocardium. And the function of heart muscles, is to pump blood throughout the body. And next is epithelial tissue. There can be found in the lining of the blood vessels to provide smooth surface for blood flow. Next is the connective tissue, which can be found in the blood vessels to provide structure for the blood vessels. And then the nervous tissue is what connects the heart to the brain, or it can be called the vagus nerve. So the normal body function. So the cardiovascular system is made up of the heart and the blood vessels and blood, and it's to transport oxygen, nutrients, and hormones throughout the body, while also removing waste products like carbon dioxide. And this maintains homeostasis by making sure that every cell, tissue, and organ in the body has enough blood and oxygen to function properly, and by controlling the blood pressure. So if there's not enough oxygen in the blood, it can cause anxiety, confusion, and restlessness, and if it worsens, a patient might lose consciousness. This is called hypoxia. Homeostatic mechanism. So they help maintain short-term blood pressure regulation by baroreceptor reflexes. So the blood pressure is the force of the blood flow against the walls of the blood vessels, and the baroreceptors in the aortic arch and the carotid sinuses send impulses to the cardiovascular center to help regulate blood pressure. So for example, when standing up from a lying down position, the blood pressure will decrease and in the head and in the upper body. So the baroreceptors will be stretched less, and this decreases the rate of nerve impulses sent to the cardiovascular center, which will then cause the cardiovascular center to increase sympathetic, which is fight or flight, and they'll also decrease the parasympathetic. So they will also increase the secretion of the epinephrine and the norepinephrine that'll cause the heart to increase its heart rate and cardiac output, and the blood vessels will also constrict, which will also cause an increase in the blood pressure. So they are included as a negative feedback system because they're trying to do the opposite of what the stimulus is doing. So the urinary system is made up of 4 organs, which is the kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra. The function is to remove waste, regulate blood pressure, blood volume, regulates the pH, and maintains electrolyte balance. So the kidneys filters blood, removes waste, produces urine, and secretes renin to help control blood pressure. And the ureters, they're 2 tubes that carry urine from the kidneys to the bladder using peristaltic contractions. So the urinary bladder is a muscular sac that temporarily stores urine before it gets secreted through the urethra. The urethra is the tube that carries urine from the bladder out from the body. So what's the contribution of the cardiovascular system to the function of the urinary system? So the heart pumps blood through the blood vessels, and about 20% of the blood is directed to the kidneys. And in the kidneys, the blood is filtered, and essential substances like nutrients are reabsorbed back into the blood, while waste products are left behind to get excreted from the body. So this means that without the cardiovascular system and without the heart pumping blood, the kidneys would not be able to filter the blood effectively. Here are my references. Thank you for listening.